All right, greetings. Thanks, everyone. It's March 9th, 2023, and we're in knowledge engineering. Had an interesting discussion just in the previous minutes, so hope we can continue some of those threads and also talk about ways we can improve what we already have with the archival interface and take other steps in the archiving and in the presentation of the materials. So is there any topic that anybody wants to go to? Or have we resolved some of the previous things that we mentioned before? Because I know, Katrina, you have a topic you want to bring up. And we can always check in with the interface and work on that. Does that sound good?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that now or?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Well, I was, as I noted in an email to you, but I haven't brought this up I haven't contacted Peter about this yet, but here I am. I was just thinking that the web page piece possibly fits in as maybe a third technical project, because the work overlaps, and to do a good revamp of the website would require understanding the needs of these other two projects so that work doesn't become redundant. And I've looked at the website a couple times, and my intention is to just kind of analyze the structure and make some notes on that, and just look at the content and try to figure out how it could be organized so that it's really easy for the public to access it, and so that there aren't things like calendars that are empty, things like that I noticed. And each time I've gone to the website, I just feel sort of overwhelmed because it needs so much work. And so now I'm thinking, well, should I just dive into this and do what I personally, as a single person, thinks should be done, or am I going to end up spending hours that I shouldn't have spent when I do some work and then I find out later that maybe that wasn't the best approach in some certain area, and then I have to redo it. So that's why I was wondering about like where that web page project can fit in, and then how do the people working on that access information they need from the others, to find out what they're needing, and yeah, that kind of stuff. And then, another little note is I got a note, I think it was from you, Peter, saying that someone was thinking about moving the site to self-hosted WordPress. So we'd have our own server and go that route. But I can't remember who that was that you mentioned about that. And so just kind of want to find out also about if there's any like solid long-term plans for the site. Are we still going to use the service that it's connected to right now, or are there other future plans, Peter?
Well, I don't have any plans to do anything different in terms of the service that's providing it, providing the basics for the membership site, which is how this website started out. It started out purely by me contracting with the least expensive membership management software that was easy to administer, and would afford the ability to enable people to have access to various portions of it, to keep it, up to date in their own particular area, like SIG chairs, for example, having the opportunity to just have access to edit their SIG arrangement. The overall design has been somewhat of a follow on from what was previously a Drupal website, and that was then suggested that the membership site that I started become the website. And so that involved then a process of copying from Drupal much into what's currently there. So as a base, the current website is, I mean, I don't anticipate making any changes in the hosting platform for ISSS.org. Now, having said that, we do have another account on another hosting service, which is hosting the old Drupal website, although that's not accessible at the moment for a number of reasons, which we could get into if you want to. And there is a wiki website there, and there's other project websites, one of which Rob has been went through with some thoroughness to update a project that was done 20 years ago, I think, which was an introduction to systems thinking, system science. And that's on on this other hosting service. And the wiki that Yanis is creating now for at wiki.ISSS.org. And indeed, John Kinnaman, who's a previous president, wanted to do something with WordPress, and so I started a WordPress site for him, but he's been occupied with health issues and his mother and one thing and another. And so that's sort of where the state of the website play is. And of course, this knowledge engineering piece is part and parcel of that discussion about how to make, information in general more accessible. And so ideas on how to make the website more user-friendly, more accessible, and so on, are welcome. I think a major overhaul at this stage would be quite time-consuming and probably quite expensive. And I'm not sure what the energy is for that, to be quite honest. So that's the best as I can tell you about the website, situation today, I think.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, if you've got some specific thoughts, I'm welcome to work with you, or for you to take a particular piece of it or something that strikes you as important, and we could discuss it here in the context of how best to present systems information, whether it be about ISSS or systems in general. I mean, that's kind of the idea behind this knowledge engineering conversation every other week, is to work out how best to present all the information we have, essentially. So,
what would you say I should focus on then?
Well, good question. Probably Rob and Daniel and Sophie have probably got some ideas in terms of their own impression. And I'd be welcome to hear from them. I mean, the conference, this conference website, for example, the page for the conference website, Rulin and Olaf have done it completely themselves. I set the page up, and then they've gone about creating the page. Now, some people have different views on how that is. It's a bit of a long scrolling, I won't say mess, but it's a long scrolling set of information. And then, there's the whole conference website. There's been lots of discussions about another website called journals.ISSS.org, which has varying degrees of acceptability and functionality. That's a whole nother suite of activity. It depends where your interests are, I would suggest, for your own, what would you find the most beneficial to work on from your own interest? I mean, when you're in a voluntary situation, there has to be a mutuality of activity, and interest has to be, I think, measured, and you have to say, oh, I'm really interested for this and this reason. That'd be my suggestion. But I'd love to hear from Daniel, Sophie, and Rob, perhaps, on thoughts on the website, if that's appropriate at this point. Up to you, Daniel.
Yeah, Sophie and Rob, go ahead if you'd like.
Okay. I have some questions. Maybe I'm new in this team, so maybe they're stupid questions. First of all, which is the target group? Which is our target group of this site? Only the members? The members and public? And which is our priority?
members
members.
and potential
So
members.
what we need from members to what information we need to give them? Just information, just seeing the videos, participating in our events, something else. I believe that if we gather that kind of questions, the answers of those questions will give us and the solutions of what we should do and the priorities. I mean, we will be able then to answer to Katrina what we should fix first. For example, if we have people that are going to participate in the event of the conference, and we need to make some alterations in our content about the conference, this would be a priority rather than fix something else. And especially because we are volunteers and we don't have at this time a business plan or earnings from this society to be able to do many things at the same time, we need to make a strategy, and depending on our needs and our volunteers, to see what is better to do first.
That makes sense to me.
It makes
was-
or it doesn't. I didn't hear you.
Oh, yeah, I keep envisioning ways that the ISS can make money. So when I look at the website and I kind of just think about the organization, that's always in the back of my mind, like what can be sold to the public? How can the public be brought in? You know, even people who might never become members, products could still be sold to them. And then some of them might become members later. And I just see a lot of potential actually in a lot of different realms. I'm confused about how the website is, well, I guess maybe if I just look at it and I'll understand, but are there 3 websites? Is that what I'm understanding, Peter? There's a wiki.iss.org, and then there's the iss.org, and there's something else.
Yeah, there's a lot of different websites. There's
Oh,
ISSS.org. That's one. Then does that link work? No, that's not a link. Let me
and
try.
is the flow between them seamless, or do people get lost and then leave because it's getting too confusing?
Well, no, I mean the main website is ISSS.org. So I mean that's
Okay.
that's the main website. There's no confusion about that. These other ones are evolving. For example, the wiki is an evolving project that is being led by Yanis. So
Yeah, there seem to be multiple subdomains, and
Right.
also like many parts on the site that are like a lot of options and like layers and obviously hidden treasures.
yeah,
I would imagine a first step on the website, and Katrina, I'm happy to work with you synchronously or asynchronously, is like
map.
first just, yeah, exactly. We just need to know what sections are there and like account for it. I mean, not too dissimilar from the more archival work with respect to the publications, but
Mhm.
especially because the internet blurs that line between like what's a website, what's a publication. knowing all the leaves and nodes, making like a link tree, that goes really far. And
Mhm.
just like start here, or like this is your membership link tree, or here's like your here's just like your this is where you want to go when you want to think about ISSS. Here's how you're gonna, and before even necessarily making any changes to anything, first we should document, make sure that if whatever changes we do make, like nothing's left behind and so on.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it sounds like a site map is needed.
Yeah, that would be great.
Also, if in case this has not been like clear, like I don't imagine that the education or the knowledge management interface would be like hosted on my personal Coda account.
Right.
Not like it's any cost or hassle or anything like that. It's, in fact, it's makes it easier, but these should be like on ISSS, even if it's a Coda page embedded in an ISSS page or some other strategy, a ISSS account or a VP of Education Coda account, whatever. Just I just think of it as like rapidly templating with you all in these early phases, but then ultimately having some better, more organizational solutions to the interfaces. Yeah, I mean the like you had the tours. Okay. Oh, Web 2.
Well, that's just another, it's another domain, if you will. It's sitting there. That one you just flashed up is the old website. That's a Drupal website, and I'm not a Drupal expert. And in order to dig into that, it broke because of Drupal upgrades, and it costs money or time for somebody to go in, and if it's even valuable, it was pretty hacked about. And that's one reason we moved it off where it was. But I've just put a list of some of the ones up there right now. And then you've got, both a YouTube, well, there's YouTube, and then you've got all the social media activities as well. So, from a knowledge engineering point of view, being quite clear about all the websites that are around and what their purposes are, what they're fulfilling, that would be a good idea. I agree. I haven't done that. Then there's journals.iisss.org as well. That's the other one, https
Yeah.
://journals, I think it is. .iisss.org.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Rob?
Sorry, yeah, apologies for internet connection on my end. But if I follow the conversation, a sitemap would be a good idea. My comment is that the go-to gateway is ISSS.org as a URL, and
Right.
everything goes from that. And as Peter has said, the quite recently launched website is quite robust and proactive at the moment. So the core website is probably, as Peter said, he has no plans to change that. My thoughts are that what is the identity of an organization in today's internet? And there's a whole host of social media sites like Facebook and LinkedIn, some of which are more official than others. So that's got to be represented as one branch in this sitemap. So that's one comment. The other main large area of activity is that there's many different members projects, including these ones from Daniel's knowledge engineering and education. And so a branch could be for projects which would be on many different platforms. Coda is another one. I can't remember if that's been mentioned. So have a branch for linking to projects out there, which might be at different stages of development. Some might be more mature and fairly stable or frozen, but some might be in development, which I think these knowledge management or knowledge engineering and education ones are. We are securing the content in knowledge engineering, securing the content of the ISSS digital assets or assets. In education, we're securing the content of the survey results. But what platform is that content is presented in can change over time and improve over time. So the technology should follow the content, and that should be recognized in the architecture of the overall website for the organization.
Thank you. That all
Thanks.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Yeah, ISSS is like our nexus in our gateway, so that's a good way to put it. The subdomains are like branches, then we have like little leaves everywhere, and ecological adjacencies. Just like with the archival work, we don't want to boil the ocean, so starting with the most starting with the pages that we directly have, and then maybe we send out another always open survey with members submitting projects, or when we come across projects that members are doing, just figure out how to integrate it. But then that underlying backend can be represented or displayed in different ways, and also becomes more amenable to language model training, which is going to increasingly be used on these large sites.
One additional comment maybe as well, when I used to work for Imperial College London, we had so much content that we started to have a network of content managers who were responsible for a particular area, but were coordinated so that it was consistent. So eventually, I mean, the load on Peter's could get tremendous, keep maintaining a lot of links. So that might be something for the future if the capability of the website management needs to be developed.
So, Katrina, how would you like to proceed?
I think first I'll log in and look at the content management system that's set up, and just, kind of become familiar with that, and see how people use it to make web pages and how those end up connecting together. And just, I'm going to look at what's already there and make a site map.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and then I'll just make a bunch of side notes about observations, just little things I've noticed. Like when I first looked at ISS, I remember I looked at the calendar and it was empty, and I thought, oh, I guess nothing's going on. Okay, bye. And then there was someone giving a lecture, and I joined to hear his lecture. I became a member because I wanted to hear that guy who was an expert in his field give a lecture. And then I just started hanging around and seeing, oh, what else is going on around here? And oh, it's kind of interesting. And I, that's how I joined. And it was really just a random stumbling in.
I think there's quite a few random stumbles. I mean, I think that's an interesting insight. Certainly the calendar, Roland's been very good about the calendar, and she's been entering everything that she's doing in the calendar. And so many people have access to the calendar. And so Marty Jacobs, who runs a book club, is putting information in the calendar. So, rather, there isn't somebody called the calendar controller. People are, if they're doing something, they're welcome to put it into the calendar, and one can give them access just to the calendar for that purpose. And indeed, there could be a whole set of instructions to, say, all the SIG chairs. I mean, there's a whole nother area of need, if I can put it that way, is that the society is meant to be built on its special special integration groups, I think they're called, but there's only 2 or 3 or 4 that are maybe active on a regular basis, and they don't put their information on the calendar. Now, that would take me or someone or you or anybody here, you know, saying, hey, I think the calendar is a really good way to attract people into the conversation and encourage them to put that information on the calendar, you know, unless I could find more time to, you know, go and find everybody and say, please, you know, give me your calendar information. I think I even put a form together once for people to submit information, but, you know, it's like herding cats when you've got a volunteer organization, right? So,
Okay, I think I understand now. So, yeah, so I think I found out eventually that the events are advertised in a separate area, not
there's-
on the calendar.
well, the calendars, well, that's interesting. I mean, there is the calendar on the front page. Are you looking at some other calendar that I'd forgotten about, maybe? I don't know.
Are the weekly talks on the calendar now?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Calendar.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because I remember looking at
Yeah, the
the
calendar's
member
pretty strong.
section and the public section were different.
No, the
With the
calendar's pretty
talks, there
strong.
were some publicly available talks and some members only
Yeah,
talks.
yeah.
And the one I wanted to see was a members only talk, so I joined.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
good. Well, that's the
Oh,
perfect
actually, it
form.
looks like there's more. Somebody is filling it out now. it
Yeah, well,
looks
that's
like. Yeah,
Merlin
yeah, yeah.
for it. Merlin.
Oh, okay, somebody's filling it out. Yeah, I
Merlin.
haven't looked at it in a long time, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, just
I-
maybe
but
I'll just make notes on areas that seem like they should be updated, seem important to keep updated because those are where the public will probably go first when they're just
Yeah.
like checking out like, hey, what is this ISL? That sounds kind of cool. What's going on?
Well, I mean, I know there's two things on the calendar that aren't there. One is the holistic SIG meetings, which occur every other Monday. And, you know, that would require a conversation with Bob Johansson, who's the chair of that one. And then the other SIG that's pretty active is Bill Smith. So one could reach out to Bill Smith and say, hey, Bill, please, either, you know, if you wanted to take on the calendar, you know, be the calendar person, that would be wonderful. Just to kind of round things up. Then the other group that's pretty active is the diversity, equity, and inclusion group. And I don't think they're putting anything on the calendar.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
you know, just calendar coordination would be a wonderful kind of process to accelerate as a way of engineering what we are already doing, right? So that would be good, and I'm happy to work with you or tell you, or if that's something that appeals to you to do, that would be wonderful.
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, it's easy enough.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I
Oh, that's
must go
good.
at the hour, but Katrina, let me know on email or however that we can move this forward. We'll just keep touching on it whenever you join any Thursday meeting until we want to make a full website meeting, even if it's only once a month or every 2 weeks. Rob,
Okay.
also keep posted on the SCA if anything can be done. And Sophie, thanks for joining for this time and hope to see you around.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Katrina. We can
Thanks.
carry on, and I could have another conversation with you. I mean, because probably Daniel needs his Zooms
Oh,
up. But,
okay.
Yes, farewell, but
Sure.
enjoy. Talk to you all
Okay.
soon.
I'll call
Thanks,
you.
Tom. Bye.
Okay, sure. Yeah.